Welcome to Screen Smart. I'm your host, April Whiting, a certified screen safety educator. This show is dedicated to help you thrive in a tech-heavy world. Today's guest is Nate Webb from Bullies B Gone. Thank you so much, Nate, for being here. Please tell us a little bit more about you, how you came to be in this world of Bullies B Gone.
So thanks so much for having me on. I'm so excited to be here. So when I was little, like 5-year-old little, I got glasses, and starting then I got bullied. And it just continued all throughout school and got worse and worse. And I was able to become better and not bitter. I was able to overcome and I was able to keep on going, but there's a lot of kids that aren't. And so when I went through college and everything, I was studying psychology, and then I realized I had a really big passion for helping kids out. And so I went and studied to become a school counselor. And I learned there's so many kids that don't know, A, that they're worth it, but B, how to overcome a lot of these obstacles. And so that's what got me to start Bullies B Gone when I started grad school. First, it was just me sharing stuff on Instagram about how to handle bullies and different things, but it's grown into a podcast, speaking at schools, and just helping to empower anyone who really feels weak. And so that's been real fun.
Yeah, very cool. Well, I love what you do, and I feel like it's so needed, especially in today's world when you add in smartphones and social media and cyberbullying and just regular school bullying. And I feel like as parents, a lot of times we don't know what to do. Like do we step in? Do we not step in? Is it the school's problem? Is it not? So I just feel like we're just going to unpack it all today and help parents figure it out, help kids take back their own power. Really.
Well, and that's interesting. And that's really where it all comes from is the concept of power. Yeah. Especially with bullying, it's an imbalance of perceived power. Someone who is perceived to be stronger against someone who is perceived to be weaker. And then they are purposely trying to harm them, whether it be physically, emotionally, mentally, socially, some way, shape, or form. And it's habitual, repeated behavior. And so me, for example, the kids that picked on me were super insecure. And because I had glasses, that made me different. That I was perceived as weak or different because of that. And that difference made it socially acceptable for them in their minds to take out their insecurities on me. And the bullying it varies the gambit. Lots of different things happen to lots of different kids. I was just lucky that it all happened to me. When I was in first grade, I was pushed off of the big slide because glasses kids can't be on the playground. When I was in fifth grade, the older kids wouldn't let me play dodgeball, and so I went inside to just sit in my chair. When I slumped down really hard on my chair, like kids do when they're mad, I flopped down, and a kid was holding a pen underneath my seat. So I got a pen shoved up in there. That didn't feel great. In sixth grade, I got thrown in a trash can for the first time. It was at play practice, and I had scouts right after play practice. I was in my full scout uniform, and 4 8th graders grabbed me and put me in a trash can, and I kicked and squirmed, but useless. And in 8th grade, I was at football practice when the captains held me down while the rest of the team took turns kicking me in the crotch. And then 9th grade year, someone told me in class to my face that I should kill myself.
Wow.
And I could have decided to become bitter. I could have decided to take out my insecurities and my hurt on other people, because in the long scheme of things, hurt people hurt people.
Yep.
Thankfully, my dad asked me a question that helped me to become better. It was in between my freshman and sophomore year, and then he just asked, "Nate, do you know who you are?" I'm like, "Yes. Are you okay, Dad? I'm number 3. Like, come on.
I'm your child."
And he's like, "Well, no, it seems like you're allowing these people to tell you who you are. That's why you care so much about what they do and say, because you're allowing their definition of you to be you." And I had realized at that point, I was allowing the opinions of 10 to 15 people totally dictate my happiness. And what more, I was trying so hard to gain their acceptance. I was becoming someone I didn't even like to impress a group of people who I didn't even like just to get their acceptance. A lot of kids these days, especially with smartphones and social media, they are turning to a lifestyle that makes them miserable just to gain acceptance from people they don't even know or like. Right. And so once I realized that, I was like, okay, so who do I want to be? How do I know who I am, Dad? And he's like, well, that's the beauty of it. You get to decide who you want to be. Who do you want people to think of when they think of you? Someone who's kind, respectful. What do you want people to think of? And then align your actions with that person. And so it took some time, but when I found out for myself who I was, nothing they could do or say could change that. They could hold me up against the wall. They could call me names, and they did. But I was just like, oh man, I'm sorry. That's not me. I know who I am, and it's not that. But maybe you don't know who you are. Maybe that's why you're treating me the way you are. And so, yeah, I definitely think that everyone's just feeling hurt right now, and everybody just needs a lot more kindness in their lives.
Yes. Oh, well, I love it when you tell this story. We work together sometimes, so I've had the privilege of hearing this, and I feel like there's so many good nuggets in there for obviously kids to take away, and also for parents to listen to your story and hear what your dad did that kind of changed this around for you, that helped you have such a strong sense of self that you could withstand these bullies and what they were doing to you, and you could become resilient, really.
Yeah, my dad didn't really do anything in terms of like interfering, trying to, talk to the bully's parents, which, I mean, don't get me wrong, he did. Both my parents did throughout the years, but I mean, sometimes that just spurs it on and makes it worse. The thing that my parents did do that made the biggest difference in helping me outgrow my bullies was loving me louder than my bullies could hate me.
Yes.
Building me up at home so that I didn't have to wonder if I was loved. I didn't have to wonder if I was enough. They loved me louder than my bullies could hate me. A lot of kids right now, the reason that they're on social media, the reason that they're on their screens so hard right now is because real life either hurts or makes them sad, and they want to find something that makes them happy. And they think that their screens are going to do that. They think that their screens and social media are going to give them happiness because they give that artificial rush of dopamine for just a second. It gets them that hit, and they feel like that's going to give them that happiness in their life. But I promise you, if we love our kids louder than the internet can hate them, they're going to choose us every single time. A lot of kids have this concept of the grass is greener on the other side. So-and-so has a better life than me. So-and-so has a better car than me. So-and-so has this. So-and-so has that. But when we know who we are, we enable ourselves to feel gratitude because we're grateful for who we are and what we have in our life. We're able to turn our focus onto the things that we do have and the things that we can control. And you learn the grass isn't greener on the other side. The grass is greener where you water it.
Yes.
So where are you going to turn your focus? On things you can't control? You can't control the actions of others. You can't control what they say or what they do. You can't. But you can control what you say and do and how you treat others. And as you learn that, you take their actions off your shoulders because it's not on you. Their actions are not your fault. You get to own your actions, your wins and your losses. And it enables you just to the weight of the world get off your shoulder. And so parents, the only thing you really have to do is love your kids louder. And love is spelt T-I-M-E. Spend time with them, real time with them, and talk with them. And by talk with them, I mean shut up and listen to them.
Put your phone down. look your kid in the eye and talk to them. I love that because I feel like we're both parents, and as parents, you don't want to see your kids hurt or sad. And so it's kind of our natural instinct that we want to jump in and save them from hurt and hard feelings. And, you know, we want to be the lawnmower parent and just mow down every hard thing in their life. But what does that serve? Does that serve them well in their life? No, it does not. And your parents could have stepped in and been like, oh my gosh, well, let's just pull you out of school because these bullies are tougher than you. And, you know, but instead they they built you up, loved you louder, and pointed you towards that and said, you know, you got this, you're stronger than this, which I feel like we need more of that from parents these days. There's a lot of, it's a fine line because there are times, sure, when as a parent you have to step in if someone's life is at risk. Or so let me ask you, because you're the expert at this, when should a parent step in?
So if a kids that are getting bullied, anything, number one thing you should do is tell an adult. Of course, you need an adult in your corner to help you out. And whether it be helping with confrontation, stuff like that, you want an adult in your corner. Now, when the adult knows about things and they keep on going on, if someone, their mental health is dwindling so bad, they're approaching that suicidality, we need to take care of something there. That's not good. Mm-hmm. And then if they're physically getting harmed, you do need to step in. Yeah. Because that's when your child's safety is at risk. Now, how you do that, that's going to differ case to case. There's no one size fits all. That's why it'd be great for you to go talk to the school counselor. Go talk to the people at your kids' school. Try and figure out what exactly is going on. I've learned that a lot of times, having the parents of the kid and the parents of the bully with the kids in the room, and the kids talk it out. The kids say, why are you treating me like this? I don't like it when you treat me. Well, you do this and it annoys me. And they're both able to understand each other. See, that the problem when parents just step in and lawnmower or helicopter in and just save the kids from their problems, they're sending the message to the kids, I don't believe in you. They're sending the message to the kids, I don't think you can handle this. I don't think you're strong enough. And the kids feel even weaker versus in the moment, yes, it does suck to have to try and figure out your own problems with guidance. But if you are there as a loving anchor, a home base of safety, that kids can help and just find out how to navigate their lives. And if they need help, you're there to help them. And if they need protection, you're there to protect them.
Yes, I love this so much. And I feel like, you know, you talking about bringing the kids together and having them talk it out. I think because of things like social media, that kids are lacking the ability to conflict resolve. They're lacking empathy. And because they're communicating so much on a screen versus face to face, you know, when you say something cruel and you see that on a person's face is different than if you say something cruel behind a screen and you don't get to immediately see their reaction, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so I think it's important that we cultivate empathy in our kids. There's a great book by Michelle Borba called Unselfie.
Yep.
That's a good one. And so you are a counselor inside of a high school, correct?
Yep, I'm a high school counselor.
Yeah. And so you are on the front lines, my friend, of this.
Yes.
Yeah. And so what do you want parents to know? Like, what are you seeing, even not just bullying, but just in general, with kids as far as smartphones and social media? What do they need to know?
Okay, I'll tell you exactly what you need to know. I was in training with Christy Kane earlier this month. She did a lot of the research behind 8-second hugs and stuff like that. Here's some statistics that I think you should know, parents. 1 in 5 kids ages 13 to 18 all have or will have serious mental illness. 50% of all lifetime cases of mental illness begin by age 14. 37% of all of those kids with severe mental health issues drop out of high school, and 20% of those kids end up incarcerated. Last year alone, there were more teachers that left the school system than any other year put together. Not surprising. Teens today indicate, and this is a big one, they feel that the love from their parents is dependent on high performance. An average classroom of 25 kids, 5 of them are dealing with trauma. And when questioned, 90% of boys admit they send inappropriate pictures of themselves to others, and 73% of girls admit that they are sending inappropriate pictures of themselves to others. And when asked, resource officers say that sexting, bullying, and vaping, in that order, are the biggest issues facing our school. So when people ask, what do parents need to know? It's that your kids want to be loved. Your kids want real love. And if they feel like they're not getting it, I know it's not all the parents' fault. Don't get me wrong. You guys might be doing the best that you know how. But if your kids feel like they're not getting the love or support they need, if there's something going on that's not being addressed, they will turn to social media. And social media will define them for them, give them a definition for who they are, and they will believe that unless you say otherwise.
That is so powerful. So important for parents to hear. The 73% of girls that are sending inappropriate pictures. We both go and speak different places, and I try to always sit down with school administrators before I go into the classrooms, and I always say, what is the biggest problem that you're having with these kids and phones? And they always say nude photos. Yep. The sharing of nude photos. And then when you take that to parents, all of them are like, oh, not my kid. My kid would never. And it's their kids.
Yeah, it's 100% your kids, guys. If your kid has a smartphone and they're in the high school, they've seen a nude.
Yeah.
It's been sent to their phone. And if it's not on their phone, they've seen it on someone else's phone. And it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when, and it's a matter of when was the last time. Because it's not just happened once, especially if they're in the schools where they allow cell phones just to be out and open all the time. It's real. And we need to stop turning blind eyes to the situation at hand. The fact that smartphones are stealing the emotion and empathy and coping mechanisms away from our kids right under our noses. And we think as parents, what are we doing? How can we do this? Well, it can start with you. Does your behavior reflect that your love for your child is dependent on their high performance? I hear kids say all the time, yeah, my mom only posts about me when I win the swim race or when I take first or when I win the dance competition. They don't post about me otherwise. I never see any random pictures of me on the internet, this or that. The posting culture that we have created creates a culture where if you fail, you don't think your parents love you because they don't post about your failures. Where kids care more about what their parents post because they think that you care more about what you post than the things you post about. We know you love your kids more than the posts you make about them, but your kids think that you care more about the posts than about them. Right. And so if that is you, you might need to rearrange your priorities and make your behavior aligned to show that your kids, you love them no matter what. And that isn't going to change. And if they can have that truth for themselves, problems with sexting and bullying and all those other things, they will improve drastically if they feel like they're receiving the love that they need at home.
Yes, that is so important. That is the number one line of defense. Absolutely. And then second is we need to be talking about this.
Yes.
I'm sure you would agree when we go into schools and we talk about this, kids are shocked to find out that sending a nude or having a nude on their phone from a peer is a felony. And it's against the law, and their jaws drop and they're like, what? No one told us this. Well, they should, because they're just handing over these smartphones and saying, good luck, don't mess up. And of course they mess up because they're handing them something that's made for adults that we're handing over to our children. And I feel like everything is so overly sexualized in our culture these days, and especially on social media, things like TikTok and Snapchat, our two favorites.
Ew. Yeah.
But and so it kind of desensitizes them. And so when they start getting into these relationships and they want to feel loved and they're being pressured, and it's just it's unfortunate, and it's something that we need to be talking about more often. And as parents, we need to stop the not my kid, because it's our kids.
Yeah, and we need to stop being scared. Parents, we are so scared of so many different things. We're scared to say the word sex in front of our kids, and we need to not be, because they're gonna get curious, y'all, and then they're gonna look on that awesome little magic box of porn and bullying, and they're gonna find things that you're gonna be like, oh crap, I wish they would have asked me about these things. You need to have the uncomfortable conversations, and you need to have them early on and frequently. Of course, it needs to be age appropriate. And if you're like, well, I don't know what to do, well, that's why you're watching this show right now. It's exactly what people like me and April do. Try to help parents help their kids before things get bad.
Yep. Yeah. I feel like parents feel overwhelmed, and they're like, well, I can't do everything and I can't do it perfectly, so I just do nothing. And you can take a couple of things to just focus on, having really open conversations with your kids. Like you said, we've got to get comfortable using words like sexting and pornography, and it just needs to become conversations that happen often, because it's not a matter of if, it is a matter of when. Absolutely it is.
And a lot of parents, they're like, well, my kid would definitely come talk to me if they saw something like that. Well, a kid has this thing called BS DAR, where they can call out your BS from a mile away, and they test you out first. They say, oh, guess what, Johnny? He got caught with porn on his phone at school. It's kind of nuts, huh? And then you're like, oh my goodness, he knows better than that. Oh my gosh, if one of my kids would have done that, I would have wrung their necks. Guess who's not going to be talking to you about that stuff?
Yep. Yeah, that's
your
such
actions.
a good point.
Yeah, your actions and the way you talk about other kids around your kid is really going to set a precedent for if they're comfortable bringing stuff around you. So no, you're not going to be perfect. Nobody is. But start somewhere. Yeah. Do something. Don't do nothing. And if you're like, where do I start? Today, go on a walk with your kid. Walk side by side and just ask them, what's something I don't know? And let them talk.
Yep. That's so important. Shoulder to shoulder is the best way to communicate with your kids. Go on a walk, go on a car ride, and just sit in the trenches with your kids.
Yep.
I think we both have a lot of parents come to us like, tell me everything I need to know about these apps. How do I filter them? How do I keep them safe? Which is great. But we always say you are your child's greatest app. If you have open communication with your child, that is by far your best line of defense.
Yes. And personally, just so you all know, the best way to protect your kid from the evils that are on Snapchat and TikTok are to not have them. That is the best way to protect your kid, is to not have those on their phone.
Yep. Yeah, those are our two. I would say they're both of our least favorite apps, those two. Wouldn't you say TikTok, Snapchat?
Oh, by a mile. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So Nate, I always love talking to you. I just like soak in everything you say because these are such important conversations. So thank you so much for being here today.
Absolutely.
Tell everybody where they can find you.
For sure. So I'm on Instagram. I'm on there a lot, at bulliesbe.gone. I have a website. It's bulliesbegone.com, but it's just the letter B, bulliesbegone.com. And then for people who are like, oh, come speak in my school about this stuff, it's just bullies.speaker@gmail.com. All that ish is on my Instagram. So if you go over my Instagram, you can find all that out. So yeah.
Awesome. Okay. Well, thanks again, Nate. I sure appreciate you being here. Thanks for joining us today on Screen Smart. If you have questions for me, you can find me on Instagram at the Screen Safe Project. And remember, you are your child's greatest app. Thanks for watching.